Hello everyone, and welcome to this dungeon editor tutorial for Legend of Grimrock 2. In this tutorial we're gonna look at time and how the day and night cycle of the game works and how we can trigger specific things to happen during specific times. So I've loaded up our testing dungeon here, and this is just where we left off from the previous tutorial where we were digging up some treasure. And before I hit play, I'm gonna place a timer within this map here, and this is for debugging purposes, so you will have some visual cues from what I'm trying to explain or talk about. The timer is just going to be on, so it's just continually going to run if I play this, but I'm going to hook the script up to an external file, so I change the script's source from embedded to external. And I'm gonna go here into my mod assets, scripts, and here I have a file called 2.lua, which is for this tutorial, and that file is here in my notepad++. So now I can type stuff, and you can see it in big and clear fonts. And I also have the added bonuses of the color functions and everything for coding, so that's pretty nice. I'm gonna create a function in the script, and I'm gonna hook the timer to it, and this function is simply going to be function what time is it, like this. And what we're gonna do here, we're just gonna create a variable called what time is it equals game mode get time of day, like this. So what this does is this returns a numerical value for us that will indicate what time of day it is, and we're gonna print this value onto the screen so we can so better see what is going on, like this, and save. And then I can choose the timer and hook it up to the source file, and it will see the function in the external file. So when I hit play here, we're going to see the number 0 getting printed out again and again and again. That's because when we start the game for the first time, or when we start our dungeon for the first time, the time of day is 0, and 0 is the break of dawn. So night has just ended and day is just getting started. So, but what you're gonna notice is that the number is not changing, and we can look at this screen for hours. We can go grab a coffee and go to the supermarket. When we come back, it's still going to be printing out zeros. That is because the flow of time does not happen within the game unless the party is moving. So if I'm moving the party around, then time is progressing, and the day and night cycle is progressing. But if I stop the party, then you see it prints out the same number again and again. That is because the day and night cycle has stopped progressing. This of course has nothing to do with monsters or nothing like that. You know, we're just talking about the sky. We're talking about the day and night cycle of the game. But this is important to know if you're going to build puzzles that will happen during specific times. And for example, if you tell the party to stand in front of this bridge at midnight, and the party arrives a little bit early, the player is going to stand in front of this bridge waiting for something to happen, not knowing the inner workings of the engine, and nothing will happen. So he will have to be moving around in order for time to be progressing. So whatever we set up to trigger at a specific point in time will get triggered. We will look into solving that problem a few moments from now, where we're going to create something that pushes the time even though the party is standing still. But for now, let's take a look at these numbers and what they mean. The day and night cycle of the game, it runs from 0 to 1.99. So basically, if we go into the console and say game mode set time of day, like this, and let's just put it back to 0, like this. We will jump back to the point where we started this tutorial from. So daytime basically runs from 0 up to 1, and nighttime is from 1 up to 199. So if we jump ahead and we say set the daytime to 0.5, like this, we are basically in the height of day. So the sun is directly above us, and we are in the in the height of day. The closer we get to 1, the closer we get to night. So like here, the shadows are long, the sun is almost setting, and when we go into 1, we have entered dusk, just as 0 was dawn, then 1 is dusk, and everything that happens after that, for instance, if we go 1.1, we are into night. So 0 all the way up to 1.99, and then it just goes back around, and I'm gonna show that to you. I'm gonna jump into 1.99. So now we are getting back to dawn. Night is almost over, and if I move around, you can see the number changing, and eventually it will not go to 2, it will kick back to 0. So this is the cycle. So knowing the cycle, we can of course set up some functions that will trigger during a specific time. So let's do that now. Let's go to this bridge over here, and I'm gonna bring out the magic bridge like this, and I'm gonna have the initial state of the bridge deactivated like this, and let's just create another function within the same script called night bridge. We're gonna have this on during the night, and then we simply do if game mode get time of day, if that is greater than 1 point, let's say what, 0.4, no, 1.04, something like that. So this is a little bit after dusk. We should be into nighttime by now. And if the game mode get time of day is less than let's just say 1.97, something like that, then we want the magic bridges, magic bridge 1 and 2, magic bridge 1 controller. Yeah, there seems to be some confusion about what people need to put after the entity name. To be honest, I'm a little bit confused myself since I don't have the scripting reference, but basically if we are going to mess with a component system, it's dot whatever component we're messing with. So in this particular instance, I'm changing the initial state, which is under controller, so I put dot controller. If I was going to change the particles or change the light, I would say dot particle or dot light. So that's the logic I'm going off. So let's do this. Particle controller, sorry, and the controller is going to be activate like this. So if we are inside this time frame, we want this magic bridge to be activated, and the second bridge as well. Else, if we are outside of this time frame, we want these bridges to be deactivated like this, and then we end the if loop and end the function. Let's save this and go back to the game, and I'm simply gonna hook this up to the same timer. So hook it up to this and change it to night bridge. So let's see if we crashed something. Refresh, and the time of day is 0.0, so we said it was supposed to turn on about 1.04. So let's jump to 1.038, something like that, just before. And of course the time is not changing since the party is just standing still, but if I move around and we hit the time frame, the bridge goes on and we can walk across it. So we set it to go off at 1.97, so let's jump to 1.968 just before that time and move around, and when we hit 1.97 it turns off, and of course the party will fall in. But let's address the problem of what if the guy is just standing here, the player playing your mod is just standing here and nothing is getting triggered. Let's address that. So let's place a floor trigger in front of the bridge, and let's just create yet another function here. Function move time, and here we are gonna get game mode, of course, game mode get time of day. I'm gonna place it inside a variable. Let's just say what, create what time is it. It's get time of day. Then we're gonna do game mode set time of day, and we're gonna set it to the current variable or to the current time of day plus 0.0001, something like this, and the function. This number is something you need to fine-tune for your purposes. When you see I'm walking about in the game, you can see that it's not raising really high, the number, so the numbers here are quite low. But let's place a timer here next to this floor trigger. Let's hook the timer. Did I save this? Yes. Let's hook the timer up to the script like this, move time, and then let's have the floor trigger be only triggerable by the party, and let's hook that up to the timer. So on activate, if the party is standing here, we start the timer. If the party is not standing there, we we stop the timer, and of course the initial state of the timer needs to be disabled. It needs to be stopped. So time is now flowing here in our debug counter, and or more precisely, it's not flowing since I'm stopped. But if I go on to this, you can see that it continues to flow, and even a bit more fast than it should normally do, since we can see the shadow here, moving and stuff like that. So if we jump again to the time just before the bridge is going to come on, and we are standing here like the puzzle told us to do, we are taking away the timer, and when the party is standing here and it hits 1.04, the bridges go on. So I think this is an easy way to prevent some mistakes if the player playing our game is just standing around waiting for something to happen. Of course we can make the area bigger with more floor triggers or something like that, but you get the idea. Of course we can do a lot more with this. We have some fireflies in the game, forest fireflies. We can place some of them here. We can basically just say fireflies. We have the particles and the light disabled on them, and then we can say that during the nighttime, or just basically the same time as the bridge is on, we want the fireflies to light up. So we can simply copy this. This is almost the same script. Let's just call it fireflies, like this. And instead of the bridge components, we want to take the firefly component. So we have firefly 1, not controller, but we are messing with particles, and we are messing with the light, or it's not multiple, it's particle. And instead of activate, I believe it was enable. Enable, like this. And of course we placed 2 of these, like this. And then we need the whole bunch to be deactivated during the day. And let's disable. Like this. And like always, I will place all these scripts on the forum, and I will put a link in the description of the video where you can get them. We have this timer, let's just continue to use it. Let's hook it up to fireflies as well. So let's refresh. And since we are in the current time zone, the fireflies are on. So during the night we have some fireflies going on here, but if we jump to, what was the end of 1.97, if we jump to 1.968, something like that. A refresh, sorry. Habit. So if I move around now, and as soon as the time hits 1.7, the fireflies disappear, and the light bridge of course disappears as well, since we were using the same time frame. Of course you can change the time frame. You can trigger something during the height of day. You can trigger something during the morning, during the dawn, or during the dusk. So this is basically it. I hope I have explained to you how the time cycle works, how we manipulate the time cycle with set time of day, how we can trigger something during a specific point in time, and how we can prevent, time from stopping if the party is waiting for something to happen, how we can have floor triggers that push the time forward even though the party is standing still. But I'm gonna point one thing out. I don't think it's a good idea, although it's possible. We could have some party hooks. We can hook, scripts into the party and say if the party is not moving, then push the time of day. So you don't need to do the floor triggers or stuff like that. But there are some things within the game that use this timer. For example, I think the Alchemist has a trait that has a chance of growing herbs in the inventory, and there are other things that get hooked into the time of day. So if we just globally set that if the party is not moving, then we are pushing the time forward, that means I can just find a safe spot right over here, and save my game and come back tomorrow, and my alchemist will have his inventory full of herbs. So you need to be aware that there are some gameplay mechanics that can be affected if you change how we are pushing the time. So I don't know the extent of them. I don't know how many there are that are affected by the cycle of time, but I know there are a few. So instead of messing with it on a global scale, I think it's more safe just to mess it on a very small scale, on the tile that I told the party to be standing, and so forth. So of course this is your world, this is your mod. So if you think it's best that the time is always flowing, then go ahead and just place something into the party script that detects if the party is not moving and pushes the time forward. I hope this has been informative. Yep, I think this is it. So thank you for watching.